What's up, people? Welcome back for another top 10 songs of the 1980s, specifically 1982. Now, I think the 70s has some of the greatest songwriters we've ever seen, but I think the 80s was the greatest pop culture decade we've ever seen. The music between the two decades are obviously completely different styles and vibes with different techniques and instrumentation, but the 80s kind of has a more fun vibe to it than the 70s, in my opinion. Now, I'm biased because I was born in 79, but there's just something about the 80s when you step back and look in on that pop culture that has a certain type of charm to it, from the movies to the music to everything in between with American culture. For me, it's the decade that melds together all these different elements so well with each other. The movies that were made seemed fresh and new and incorporated all this great music with this new fresh style, and the club scene was probably the biggest it's ever been in the 80s too. There's a lot more to it than that with the culture, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. On the other side, you have the 90s, which is also a great decade, but I don't think it has the same type of nostalgic feel to it like the 80s. Like I said, I could just be biased. So without me going further into my nostalgia, let's get to the top 10 songs in 1982 that includes some magic, some interracial love between two music legends, and a song from one of the biggest movie franchises ever. The number 10 song comes from a legendary band. They're still going strong today in concert, even though the lineup of members has changed numerous times since 1967. This song was a resurgence for the band after being dropped from their record label at Columbia to be picked up again by Full Moon Records, which was a subsidiary of Epic Records and distributed by Warner Music until 1992. It was the band's first number one hit since 1976 and their first top 10 hit since 1977. That number one hit in 1977 changed how the band started writing music with the song If You Leave Me Now. Some people believe that it was Peter Cetera's influence on the songwriting that contributed to the transition, along with Terry Katz's death at the beginning of 1978. They went from being a rock band with horns, not literally horns, but the instrument, to something a little softer and more commercial, and it's when they became immensely popular. Depending on who you ask, fans either love it or hate it. The song is Hard to Say I'm Sorry by Chicago.
Hold me now, I really want to tell you I'm sorry. I could never let you go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after all that's been said and done, you're just a part of me I can't let go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to.
The number 9 song proves that there's always a rhyme for whatever word you use, including the hook that's the basis of the entire song. The 80s affected lots of bands from the 60s and 70s when writing new music. They wanted to adapt to the times, and this band took its first foray into using electronic synthesizers, starting with this song. You probably would never in a million years guess the inspiration for this song, but it's Diana Ross and the Supremes. This song was this band's third number one hit and last top 40 hit, although the band's record label didn't see the potential for it to become a hit. It then became a number one hit in pretty much every other country in the world, forcing Capitol Records to release it as a single in the US, where it reached number one on the Billboard Hot 100. The song is Abracadabra by the Steve Miller Band.
I heat up, I can't cool down. You got me spinning round and round, round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Every time you call my name, I heat up like a burning flame, full of desire. Kiss me, baby, let the fire get higher. I wanna reach out and grab you. Abracadabra.
Number 8 is from an artist that was pretty busy on the charts in 1982. Not only does he hold the number 8 spot on this year-end chart, but he also occupies the number 7 spot too. This artist claimed to have written this song as a goof. This gives hope to all the people out there with idiotic ideas like inventing diet water, which is otherwise known as water. It's actually kind of funny because this artist won a Grammy for this song for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance, and when he went up to accept his award, he said, I don't know what to say. I'm just an idiot. See, Ma, I'm not wasting my time on YouTube. The song is Hurt So Good by John Cougar at the time, now known as John Mellencamp.
When I was a young boy, sipping with those young boy ways. Now that I'm getting older, so much older, I long for those young boy days with a girl like you, with a girl like you. Lord knows there are things we can do, baby, just me and you. Come on and make it up. Hurt so good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good. Sometimes love don't feel like it should, baby. Hurt so good.
So John Cougar holds the number 7 spot on this chart, just like I said, but the subject matter of the song is a bit different from the number 8 song. This one is about a couple whose best days are behind them and the mediocrity of life has crept into their thoughts in everyday life. Cheery, but it is relatable to about 90% of the population. After this song, it was no longer John Cougar. That was a name given to him by his manager. Actually, it was Johnny Cougar, but his creative department, meaning him, shortened it. In 1983, he changed it to John Mellencamp. Cougar, Mellencamp, same difference. People only care about the music anyway. The song is Jack and Diane, once again by John Cougar, aka John Mellencamp.
So let it rock, let it roll. Let the Bible belt come and save my soul. Hold on to 16 as long as you can. Changes come around real soon, make us women and men. Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Oh yeah, they say life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone.
Next up at number 6 is the most typical sound an 80s song on this year-end list. The 80s sound didn't fully invade the public's collective mind at this point yet, I guess. This song was the breakthrough song that propelled this group to the number 1 spot in the US, and it was the first of 2 number 1 hits they would have on the Billboard Hot 100. The other song is Human, that came out 4 years later in 1986. This first number 1 was this group's first US single, and it coincided with the rise of MTV in the US. This iconic music and pop music history was included in my video right here, so go check out that 2-part video after this one. MTV had just started the year before and didn't have a catalog to show their viewers, so they had to use a lot of UK songs and bands, and this was one of them. So MTV was partially responsible for this song reaching number 1. It's also probably my favorite song on this list. The song is Don't You Want Me by the Human League.
I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. That much is true. But even then I knew I'd find a much better place, either with or without you. The 5 years we've had have been such good times. I still love you. But now I think it's time I live my life on my own. I guess it's just what I must do.
Don't you want me? You know I can't believe it when I hear that you won't see me. Don't you want me? You know I don't believe you when you say that you don't need me. It's much too late to find. You think you've changed your mind? You'd better change it back or we will both be sorry. Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Oh, don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Oh.
The number 5 song is about a guy reminiscent about a girl in high school that he had a crush on, that he saw in a gentleman's magazine. He had described her as a sweet, innocent-looking girl in high school and was disappointed that he saw her in a nudie magazine. I mean, some self-reflection might come in handy in that situation. Maybe he was just disappointed that he never got the chance. I hope she wasn't as stiff and uncoordinated as some of the models in this music video, though. The music video was once again an early staple on MTV. The song is Centerfold by the Jay Giles Band.
Does she walk? Does she talk? Does she come complete? My homeroom angel always pulled me from my seat. She was pure like snowflakes, no one could ever stain. The memory of my angel could never cause pain. Years go by, I'm looking through a girl's magazine, and there's my home angel on the pages in between. My blood runs cold, my memory has just been sold. My angel is the centerfold, angel is the centerfold. My blood runs cold, my memory has just been sold. Angel is the centerfold. Slip me notes under the...
Number 4 is probably my least favorite song on this year-end list. It has a great message, but it just seems like it's a parody that should be on Saturday Night Live. And it actually was. It's not a horrible song, and it has two of the biggest music legends in the history of music on the track, but it's just kind of corny to me. Its reception was weird because it spent 7 weeks at number 1, but then it fell off the earth and wasn't played anywhere after dropping on the charts. In fact, Blender magazine ranked it the 10th worst song of all time. However, it was ranked number 59 on Billboard's Hot 100 Songs of All Time. Now that's the type of thing that makes me want to commit violence. The song is Ebony and Ivory by Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder.
We all know that people are the same wherever you go. There is good and bad in everyone. We learn to live when we learn to give each other what we need to survive. Together alive, ebony and ivory live together in perfect harmony, side by side on my piano keyboard. Oh Lord, why don't we?
The number 3 song was in a video I did way back when with the first Horrible Songs cover video right here. Why wouldn't you go watch it? People love hearing bad singing. Well, this version of the song is the opposite, and it's gone down as one of the greatest rock songs ever. It was originally performed by the band The Arrows in 1975, but through some bad luck of not being promoted during a newspaper strike in the UK and being released as a B-side and then re-released as an A-side, it never charted and pretty much disappeared until this female rocker released it in 1981 with her own band. This singer's version of the song was owned by the Polygram Company. They thought that this singer was a loser and agreed to give up the rights to this song along with 2 others if the producer Kenny Laguna paid for the studio session. Want to guess who wound up being the loser? The song is I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
I saw him dancing there by the record machine. I knew he must have been about 17. He was going strong, playing my favorite song, and I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah me. And I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah me. Singing.
Number 2 is a song that I used to listen to all the time as a kid because it was connected to one of the biggest movie franchises of all time. This song was in the movie Rocky III when Sylvester Stallone's Rocky Balboa fought Clubber Lang, played by Mr. T. It wasn't the song that was originally supposed to be in the movie, though. Another One Bites the Dust by Queen was requested by Sylvester Stallone for the movie, but Queen denied him permission. This song spent 15 consecutive weeks in the top 10. That's the second longest streak in the top 10 that year behind the number 8 song on this list, Hurts So Good by John Cougar. That streak is tied with Another One Bites the Dust, as well as the number 1 song on this list as the longest run in the top 10 for a number 1 song during the entire decade of the 1980s. The song is Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Now we get to the number one song of 1982. This song was also mentioned in this video I did reviewing Dua Lipa's album Future Nostalgia here. It spent 10 weeks at number one, which was second to only the song Hound Dog by Elvis Presley at the time. It's also the best-selling single in the entire decade of the 1980s in America. The artist of this song recently passed away just short of a year ago in 2022, but had a great music career selling over 100 million records and starred in a couple of well-known movies and played an iconic character in one of them too. Unless you're a wee young tadpole, you know her from the movies Grease and Xanadu and songs like Hopelessly Devoted to You, Magic, and the one you're about to hear, just to name a few. The number one song in 1982 is Physical by Olivia Newton-John.
I'm saying all the things that I know you'll like. Make a good conversation. I gotta handle you just right. You know what I mean. I took you to an intimate restaurant, then to a suggested movie. There's nothing left to talk about. Let's horizontally. Let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical. Let's get into physical. Let me hear your body talk, body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Let's get.
I know I always say it, but I love the 80s. It'll always be my favorite pop culture decade. Alright, so those are the top 10 songs in 1982. I've done numerous other top 10 and 20 lists, so go check those out too. I put them in these nice little playlists so you can watch them all one after the other and you don't have to go searching for them. And with that, I'll see you later.